As we're heading to the bait shop, let's actually talk about today's drop and these new tariffs that President Trump is threatening. I think he saw the market. I was like, you know what? We've almost recovered. It's time to drop it again. And he did. Now, the stock market didn't drop that much because I think the business leaders think he's bluffing. Now, I would not bet that he's bluffing right now because he actually did implement this giant ass trade war that people thought he wasn't going to do. So I think betting that he's not going to do it is a bad idea. Now the date is June 1st. Yeah, screw that whole 90-day thing. He's not going to go with that. He's basically saying you know what, the EU is not signing the trade deals I want. Therefore, I'm going to screw everything up again and do 50% tariffs on them on June 1st. And of course, the 50% tariff on the EU, they are most likely going to counter tariff. They've already began signing trade deals with other countries to mitigate the effects of a trade war with the United States. So essentially, we're going to be kind of fighting this against them kind of alone, because other countries, including China, Canada, and all those other countries, they're going to be signing more amiable trade deals with each other, like they've already started doing. But the problem is 50% is a lot. We already have 30% with China, 50% with the EU. China and the EU are going to count for, I would say, around 40% of our trade. You add Canada and Mexico, that's another 30. But the EU is within the top 4 of our trading partners. So the markets reacted, and crypto reacted today as well. Now, we're still close to the last all-time high at $108,000. But if you look at alts are down 30-40%. From kind of where they were when Bitcoin was at the last all-time high a couple of months ago. So alts are not faring nearly as well as Bitcoin. And if you guys did notice, we went past the all-time high for a day or two, and alts did not start to really shoot up. They kind of gained with Bitcoin, but they didn't really start to massively shoot up. So I think that theory is a little bit dead for right now. We might need to wait for a couple of weeks if Bitcoin can actually hold this particular all-time high. Do I think Bitcoin's going to crash and burn really badly? No. And the reason why I don't think BTC is going to crash and burn really badly is because of guys like Michael Saylor that are actually buying it. I think they can actually help us ride out this whole crazy trade thingamabobber. But I don't think altcoins are as lucky. They don't have the same buyers. So I think this trade war is going to devastate altcoins, but actually be okay with Bitcoin. So June 1st is the date, and the choice is is he bluffing or not? So I would actually buy Bitcoin right now, because if he is not bluffing and he does 50% tariffs on the EU, then Bitcoin's not going to be hit quite as bad. Not as bad as stocks. And with Michael Saylor and people buying, I think it'll come up really fast. The reason I wouldn't buy altcoins is because I think altcoins are going to be hit really bad if he's not bluffing. And if he is bluffing, then I think Bitcoin might actually react first, and you'll be able to switch from Bitcoin into altcoins anyways. I don't think altcoins are going to suddenly come up 30-40% on that one day just because he's not bluffing, because we didn't go down that bad. So I think you'll have time to switch over from altcoins if he isn't bluffing. And if he is bluffing, and if he isn't bluffing, then you won't be devastated with Bitcoin as you would actually be with altcoins. So that's why I think right now Bitcoin is the best play to go. I also don't think we're going to really get a altcoin run until later this fall, after some of this stuff resolves, if it resolves. Now, if it doesn't resolve, we might not get an altcoin run at all. But if it does resolve, it'll probably be in the fall. And yeah, so look for October, essentially. I think that's what a lot of the analysts are saying too, and I do actually agree with them, because that's when a lot of the ETFs come through, and maybe some of this craziness will be over by then. We don't know. We have Trump as president. You never really know when the craziness is going to stop. It's just kind of a thing that you have to accept at this point. You can't really gauge these things in normal terms as long as he's the president. So yeah, I would definitely say either DCA or buy Bitcoin right now. This is a pretty good opportunity. I mean, Bitcoin might go below 100,000 if you want to wait for that. I honestly wouldn't. And if it goes below 100,000, I think within a few weeks, it'll probably come back up to where it is now. So you're not really losing all that much. But altcoins I can see dropping quite a lot more than what they are so far in relation to Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin is definitely like the play to go for right now. Some of you might not like that. Some of you might like like meme coins or altcoins, but I think it's kind of a dangerous play now with like how things are playing out in terms of like both foreign relations and just trade war right now, because we don't really know how long the trade war is going to last. We don't know when he's suddenly going to change his mind, and I think that all impacts altcoins a lot more. Now some of you are saying, but the trade war shouldn't really impact cryptos, and yeah, it shouldn't, but people have these knee-jerk reactions. And plus, especially for altcoins, people do not see them as a hedge. They just see them as a risky investment. And since they just see them as a risky investment and not a hedge, then you're going to have problems with people not willing to take on that kind of risk. And plus, the ETF investments are all in Bitcoin right now. As to whether I think it's a bluff or not, I would at best put it at 50-50, because he's kind of random. And it could depend on which side of the bed he actually got up on June 1st. And I hope he gets up on the right side of the bed, because if he does and he's bluffing, then the markets can just resume as usual. But if he's not bluffing and there's a 50% trade, and by the way, he's saying right now that he isn't looking for a deal with the EU. He's just going to do it his way. Basically, he thought he was going to get a quick win with the EU, and they're not really playing that game. So he's essentially basically trying to play hardball, but I do think it is going to backfire, especially on consumers. Walmart's already raising stuff over the China tariff, and I think this is just going to make it worse. We do have a trade deficit with the EU, but that's just because America is a consumerism based economy, and Americans just simply consume more than the European Union. I don't actually think our trade deals with the European Union are really unfair or anything. They might be with China, but I don't think they are with the EU. And I think this is just going to exacerbate things, because you're fighting this trade war at the same time that you're fighting it with China. I think Trump is getting frustrated that these big, beautiful trade wars aren't coming out the way he wants it to. I think he just thought that everyone would instantly fold, and everyone is not instantly folding. And he's saying they're being really frustrating to work with. I think Trump's art of the deal is basically I have the biggest I basically have the biggest stick, and you have to do what I say. And other countries are kind of teaming up, and they're not really going by that rule. So I think he's running into some problems, which is unfortunately affecting the rest of the market. But fortunately, I don't think Bitcoin will be nearly as affected as the rest of the market. Now, there is a theory that he's just doing this to lower rates, but this isn't really helping that, because this most likely will just increase prices, and increasing prices is not going to get Jerome Powell to lower rates. That does pretty much the exact opposite. So I'm not really sure how that thinking is working. I'm not really sure if he's thinking or not, but that really doesn't matter all that much, because financially it kind of comes out to the same conclusion, that this, I think, is going to hinder rate cuts rather than hurry rate cuts. Unless you get massive layoffs and Powell essentially has no choice. But if your plan is for massive layoffs just for a couple of rate cuts, that's a stupid plan, first of all. And you could be stuck in a situation where it's really hard to recover the country. Plus, since we got downgraded, if you're wanting to refinance U.S. debt at a cheaper rate, you're probably not going to be able to do that, because Moody's did downgrade our rating from AAA to AA, AA1, which means it does cost more for the U.S. to actually finance debt, even at the same rate. So I don't think the rates for mortgages and all that stuff is going to come down, and that probably isn't going to help inflation, which probably is not going to make Jerome Powell cut rates, because he does stuff based on data. And that's not going to make the data look good. The data would look good if stuff was cheaper, but if mortgage rates go up, that's going to make basically housing costs more. Walmart and a lot of retailers are raising prices, mainly because they can't eat a 10 or 30% tariff, because the margins on retail just aren't that high. They're usually 4 or 5%. So there's no way they're going to eat a 10 or 30% tariff. It's going to pass on to the consumers. And realistically, it's just kind of gotten into a mess again. I really, really hope he is bluffing on these new tariffs, because if he's not bluffing on these new tariffs, we definitely could be in a world of hurt. If he is bluffing, we'll go back up on June 1st. Everything's cool. and he's just basically scaring us to either manipulate the market or for no real apparent reason at all, which, I mean, I'm not surprised if he does. But realistically, yeah, we can only hope that he's bluffing and he's not going to implement these tariffs, or that his advisors actually, like, you know, get in his ear and say, like, hey, don't do this. You're going to lose votes. You're going to lose confidence, and this is going to hurt you politically, because in special elections, his party has not been faring very, very well, which is not all that surprising, because people are not all that happy with him, especially like the farmers and people that actually did vote for him and make up like a substantial portion of his base. So we got like at least 1.5 years of this left, maybe possibly 3.5 years. Well, we'll survive, I think, for the most part, but generally, we might be really shaky ground, especially for altcoins. Once again, I think Bitcoin's going to do fine because of the buyers it has, and some of the adoption, I suppose. But altcoins, I think we're going to be very, very shaky for a couple of years yet. So yeah, that's my analysis of the whole thing. Hopefully June 1st comes and he's bluffing, but if he's not, we could be in for some hurt. All right, that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.